Hello guys, welcome to Highest Horizon. This is where we get traders from foundations to freedom. Alright, so thanks to all of you who have been liking, commenting, and thanks for the subscription as well. So if you look on my screen right now, you can see someone is asking us to look at step index. Alright, so we're going to analyze step index this morning. And also you can see Michael, shout out to my Uganda family. Michael from Uganda is asking, when do you hold or when do you place TPs based on pattern and trendline trading? So I'm going to use the step index we are going to analyze to determine where to hold and where to take profit based on pattern trading. But I'm also not really going to say a lot about holding and taking profit, because this depends on the type of trader you are and the time frames you are looking on. All right. But a particular profit level that I always use for my community, we use in, like, I teach to my students, is taking profit at swing points. All right, either you take partial profit or you take full profit, but your most profit should be at the swing point, and then the trend line is where you hold it for approach. Let's get started. So people, because this is a request, this is step index and we're on the 4 hour, so we have to look at the higher time frame to be able to determine we have to look at the higher time frame because it is a request. All right, if I was trading, I go straight to the 5 minutes and then my execution on the 1 minute. All right, so this is the 4 hours, so we want to use directional biases based on what this guy is doing, and we will get to see what patterns are relevant and what patterns are not. So, like I always say to you guys, when you come on the chart, you do what? You look at the highest point and the lowest point of the price actions you want to focus on. Now, if you look at step very well, like one thing about the market is we have an edge. We know that is we understand this strategy and that strategy, but every market, when you come to it, you have to systematically approach it based on what is presented to you. All right. So, if you look at what step index is doing right now, it's not really let's say there's no alignment based on you have to follow this thing, you have to follow that thing. So you have to understand price action, you have to understand price swing points. Like I always say, you have to understand swing points. If you are only cool with the trend line, you are not going to survive for long. Alright. So you have to understand price swing point before you can be confident enough to be a price action trader or a trend line trader or whatever kind of thing you are doing. You have to understand the swing point, else you'll be in trouble. Alright. Now, for me, looking at my highest and lowest point, what do I need to do here? If I look at my highest and lowest point, I'm only supposed to look at highest point and lowest point based on price patterns. I'm sure you always remember that. Highest point, lowest point, based on the price pattern, where you want to mark your price pattern. Alright, so if I want to mark my highest point and lowest point right now, I have to zoom in because it's the 4 hour, and you can see we have a current impulse like this, and then after that we have this swing point here, came back down, I created another swing point, went back up, this is a swing point, came back down, another swing point, and currently we are at this swing, right? And if you look at how the swing points are being created, our impulse is facing up, our swing points are all facing up, right? Kind of like ascending. So we're looking for a reversal trade to the downside. Alright, so if I want to mark my highest point and lowest point right now, my lowest point will be the lowest point of my of the swing, or the running channel pattern that is being created, and then
It's 6 o'clock.
thank you, Samantha. And then the highest point will be the highest point of the swing that we have, the last previous high. So this is the highest point. But like I said, after understanding price patterns, you have to understand the swing points as well. Now, where do I think this guy is going to fall? I'm going to explain to you guys. I said this. I don't use indicators for confluences. I use what the price is saying for confluence. This is how simple my chart is. This is how clear and clean it is. So you have to understand all the logics, everything before you get to trade like the way we do. So if you want to understand to trade or analyze the market like the way we do, please look in the link in the description and come to us for proper mentorship. Alright. So this is the 1-2 highest and lowest point, because that is where my pattern is being contained. Alright, and I have to just connect to my pattern 1-2, right? And you can see clearly we are anticipating a third touch both at the upside and then at the downside. Alright. Now I always preach to you guys that try to understand swing points. If you understood, or if you understand swing point already, if you're on the lower time frame, you definitely would have taken a sell trade. have shorted and then made a lot of money. This is stepping there, so the lower time frame pays a lot of money when you're on step. So this was a swing, and then what happened here? It was a sweep. After the sweep, you have to look for sales. And if you look at the lower time frame, all of these candle pullbacks, you can see these candle pullbacks. They are all relevant swing point on the lower time frame where TPs are supposed to be. You can see this trade was good. So, but based on what price is doing right now, it's still under a probability. So these are the forecasts I have for stepping this right now. It's either you see the market, what happened before always repeat itself. You see, we have an impulse here, price give us a correction, right? Or a little kind of flag, and then we went back impulsively. And now you can see price is doing some funny stuff, like it's trying to repeat the same scenario that have happened before. So it might be something like this, and then we find our way to meet up the third touch of our trend line. And also price can decide to just come up. Sweep again this guy, and then short. Alright, but it depends on what price will do, and that's why I always say to my students, do not execute a trade without confirmation. Even if you think your directional biases are crazy, do not execute a trade without confirmation unless you have a lot of money to put on the line and a lot of emotional trauma to bear. Alright, if you don't have that tendency like I don't have, make sure you always wait for confirmation. We know that this guy is facing up, yes, but we can't just buy blindly. We have to understand what he's doing completely before we look for buys, okay? Or before we look for a trade and an entry for a trade. Now, the number two reason I know that this guy is going to dip very well, but for now, have to wait for it to either find his way to the third tag before dipping, or find his way to sweep this guy before dipping, is the fact that I understand price swings and I've seen what price have done from the past. Now look at this swing point. This was high, right? This was a low. This, you can see this low and this low. This low here is higher than this low. So this is a higher low, and then this is a high. So price created a low, created a higher low, it created a high. It's supposed to come to create another a higher high, then come back to create another higher low. If you understand swing point, you already understand what I'm trying to preach. So you know we have this. This is what I talk about channels. These are all impulses and correction. Like you have patterns within them, but the channel price is creating. It's supposed to be something like this, right? Giving us another higher high here because we have this high here. Look at this high. It's supposed to come and give us a higher high here, which will be around the third touch or maybe just a sweep of this guy. Then come back down to give us a higher low before we continue the trend line, like before we continue the price pattern of giving us higher highs and higher lows. So because I know that the price just gave us a previous higher low, it needs to come back again to give us another higher low, or even come back to break through the whole lows, but it need to come down to create. You need to create the high here to interact to sponsor, like a high that this one has sponsored to be its own higher high. This is already a high, so we need the higher high here. Then price after a higher high, it need to come back to give us a higher low. So this is why I know that the price have to short, and with the confluence of my price pattern right now, which is a running channel, a channel that is in the same direction of the impulse, I know very well that yes, when price give me a reversal pattern, it's definitely going to sell. So these are my confluences. I don't use indicators. I don't complicate my chart. This is step, and I've analyzed it. All right. Now talking about Michael and asking me where to put profit target and all of that. Now, if I am to, based on trend line, right? So if I am to, like, let's see, I was here on the chart and I noticed this swing was broken, blah blah blah. If you're on the community, you know how we look for entries, all right? So, and I took my trade from this level. Let's say I took my trade from, let's say a candle rejected, and I took my trade from that level, and my stop loss was there. Now, where I put my TP, the first take profit is going to be on this guy because this is the swing point. This is a relevant swing point that whenever the market miss it, something can happen. This is going to be my first take profit. Then the final TP will be whenever it reaches the trend line. Alright. Now you can see price is expanding. So reaching the trend line might take it like this. And the more it goes, if I want to draw my short and long, it's going to be something like this. So reaching my first target is always the next swing point after my execution. The next swing point after my execution is the first target. Then the target I get to swing or hold a little bit is the target that is going to the trend line. All right. When it's going to a trend line, you cannot predict. I can't just put a trend line here. I want the price to come to it. Or let's say if I put it here, it can't just come to it because price don't move in a straight direction. No, it moves a candle after another. So it expands. So the more it expands, the more it takes it. It might still come down like this, do its thing, expand before we find its way to somewhere like this. So this guy, to somewhere like this. So this guy can even keep expanding to the upside, and so I keep holding. But immediately I take the first TP here. Immediately I have to take the first TP here. Whatever trade I'm holding, I make sure I go break even. So that even if it comes back against me, there's no problem. But the first TP I'm taking there is always my trade target. If I execute a trade, my trading plan, if I execute a trade and I have a risk of 2% for my account, my target is always 10%. Alright, so if I am to take TP1, I have to make sure TP1 is up to 10% of my account. Then I close that TP, and I know that yes, I've settled myself for that particular trade, and whatever I'm holding on that trade is just to go to break even. All right. So that whatever happens is cool. If I make more money, fine. If I don't, I know already I've taken my trade target based on my daily trade, based on my every position target I've taken it. But if it goes further, it's still a win. All right. So I hope I've answered Michael, and I also answered Kim. So if you know you have your own request or you want us to look at something for you, please say in the comment section. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like our video. If you are not subscribed, I beg you, subscribe to us. Alright. I know you are enjoying the content and you are learning a lot. Thanks for watching.